Hey folks, welcome back. It's good to see you again. It's December 22nd, 2021, and we just had the solstice last night, so happy solstice. And we're getting ready to celebrate Christmas, so Merry Christmas. Sending love and transformative vibrations out there to everyone. May you meet your destiny right where you're supposed to. So Merry Christmas and happy destiny. So tonight I want to talk about why it seems like evil's winning right now. Tonight I want to talk about why the bad guys always seem to get away with it. Tonight I want to talk about why it seems like evil really has more success on planet Earth right now than good does. I want to talk about why good efforts seem to encounter more resistance than evil efforts. Why is so much hypocrisy being thrown in our faces right now? And why are we seeing so little justice served, right? And it's because evil is winning on planet Earth, okay? Evil has the power in the three-dimensional world. It's because evil has a plan, and their plan is succeeding. Our functional reality is actually tuned to the frequency of darkness. This is why children of the light are attacked with such precise regularity. It's because the frequency of planet Earth is tuned to evil, and it's tuned to evil by a force that precludes our consciousness. This is why being good is so much more difficult than being evil on planet Earth, right? And I'm not saying this figuratively. I mean this literally. It's 1,000 times more difficult to do good on planet Earth than it is to do evil, right? Good is sabotaged from its inception, right? Where evil kind of always seems to have the wind at its back. And for those of us that do good, it's like having an anchor chained around our necks, that we have to lug around with us as we ascend, through this evil matrix, right? It actually is sort of an evil matrix, but it's more of an electromagnetic grid that reorganizes our human energetic existence, to be confused by love and familiar with evil, so we are in an evil matrix, and that evil matrix sort of manifests as electromagnetic waveforms that sort of disrupt our human potential frequencies. We're disconnected to aspects of reality that we're actually entitled to by virtue of who we are as human beings. And there are forces who have kept it this way for thousands of years. Why is it that when you go through a spiritual or personal growth or ascension, nothing ever happens, right? You have some complete shift in your sort of inner world, and you are quite literally a new person, but your external world never changes, right? There is no sort of positive feedback or affirmation from the universe or the physical reality, we'll call it. None whatsoever, right? So you kind of just have to learn to trust yourself. Like, this is great, and whether or not anything changes, I'm going to hold fast to the this new version of me is great. And you may have just realized that everything you'll ever need to know, or that everything you'll ever need in life, is literally inside you. You may have realized that you're actually a spiritual being having a human experience instead of a human being having a spiritual experience. You may have realized that we're all one. And, you may have realized that based on the quantum laws of the universe, that instant manifestation is not only possible, but it actually makes the most sense, and yet nothing ever changes. Like, it makes more sense, that instant manifestation should happen because we see it, right? And actually, instant manifestation is possible, like, if you sort of completely embrace the evil, egoic sort of matrix that is our reality. You can make anything happen in an instant, if you're willing to be bad right? You could become president of the United States if you're willing to be bad enough. You could actually hold the patent for a vaccine and then create a pandemic, and then get paid for the vaccine that cures the pandemic, and no one would ever question that, right? Like, in this reality, that can happen. You can walk into a Best Buy in Los Angeles right now and fill your cart with electronics and, walk out without paying, right? Like, being hyper successful on planet Earth is synonymous with evil, because on Earth, evil is the frequency of success. And what is accepted as success is generally the result of evil, right? Acquiring things, money, power, fanning the flames of the 7 deadly sins. Why do self-healers carry such a heavy burden? Why do we carry such a heavy load and see such minute results? We're supposed to be setting ourselves free. And it's like, the healthier we become on planet Earth, the less we have to show for it, right? For the amount of effort, our progress measured sort of in earthly terms is excruciatingly slow. An evil idea takes off like it's shot out of a cannon. You can make a plan to rob a building in New York right now and have a higher likelihood of success than starting a book club. So it is harder to do good things than it is to do bad things on planet Earth right now. And why? Why is this? This is because Earth's fundamental resonance has been cloaked, right? It's been hacked and modified. And, we are blocked from our access to the 4th and 5th dimensions of love and unity, right? When we do good, we don't receive the rewards of being good, because those higher vibrational feedback messages never make it through to us, right? Like, we don't get the pat on the back from the universe. We don't get what we deserve for having those internal changes that shift us towards love and unity. They get to a certain point, but they don't get through, right? Our reality does not change. They never make it to us. When we have faith and our vibration rises, we don't see the results of the raised frequency, because it's being blocked by a net or a grid over our earth reality to prohibit us from receiving the positive affirmation we deserve as a result of our raised vibrations. These frequencies and transmissions that they're using against us have been tweaked to reward hate and punish love on planet Earth. Even our karmic journeys have been rigged, because we live in a world that oppresses love and empowers evil, right? It takes exponentially longer to achieve higher vibrations in a single lifetime, and therefore, this extends the total number of lifetimes we have to live before we rise, so our ascension's blocked in the here and now, but it's also blocked into the future. At the atomic and subatomic levels, we're literally being jammed from access to the higher frequencies and activations we're entitled to by the nature of our human atomic makeup, And this brings me to electromagnetic smog, okay? What is electromagnetic smog, or EMF smog? For the most part, it's commonly understood as a term that was developed organically by sensitive people to describe the feeling of being interfered with, by all of the digital apparatus we have around us at all times. Like, we can feel it, we hear it, and the belief is generally that EMF smog is the collective effect of the devices, right, and their resonant frequencies, and it happens sort of organically, right? Like, I don't know, like this notion of pollution happens, right? But the common understanding is misguided, in the presumption that it's happening organically. Okay, this is, false. It is not happening organically. It's actually a lot darker than that, right? The truth is that we're being denied access to our higher frequencies by a grid that keeps us separated from our true energetic potential. We do not see the fruits of our efforts in this reality under this grid. The game is rigged And it's literally rigged before, pre-consciousness, okay? Pre-individual consciousness, and therefore pre-individual choice, okay? We're sort of tricked into believing that we have free will when in fact, it is so discouraging to live a virtuous life on planet Earth that most people wind up taking the easier way out and being bad, right? So it's rigged pre-choice, okay? We don't really have a choice. That choice is kind of taken away from us because we're not affirmed, right? Good is not affirmed. So even our joyful moments have been reduced in sort of the number and frequency because of interfering forces like guilt and shame, and what it means to be productive, right? Sleep deprivation is actually a virtue, in bizarro Earth world right now. And we're constantly sort of divided between what we want, and what we need to do in order to survive. And the point is, the ability, to grow love and joy has been sabotaged since before the beginning, to keep us pinned under the weight of this grid that links our most successful moments with some of our deepest shame, right? And so how do we address this? And the answer is, of course, as always, trauma reversal, right? If you're stuck in fight or flight, you're not free to be the witness observer of your own self. You're not free to measure, right versus wrong, just in terms of what it produces in your own life. If you're so busy being held in a traumatic sort of cage, you never believe in your own point of view. You're constantly asking someone else for their opinion or deferring to someone else's better judgment. You're very agreeable, is what it's commonly referred to, right? People who have been traumatized are agreeable or gullible. So you're not free to witness and observe your own life, right? The act of reversing trauma, by definition, causes you to reevaluate the decisions that you made in the past that have ruined your life, right? And so when we reverse our trauma, we learn that, we can't blame others for the situation our life is in, because that would be giving our power away to them, right? We learn that, when we expect others to provide solutions for us and fix our lives, that we're, again, giving away our power. We learn that when we lie to others, that we'll be lied to, and that our lives essentially amount to a lie. If we lie, that's what we become. That's who we are. When we reverse our trauma, we realize that when we hold others in contempt, it's because we're taught to hold ourselves in contempt, and have been habitually holding ourselves in contempt ever since we were taught to do so, right? When we reverse our trauma, we realize that we deserve to be forgiven, and that we can forgive ourselves for everything we did while we were in survival mode. We realize that people who hurt people are actually they themselves hurt and are living in their own dark reality, right? And that we shouldn't really take it personally. We learn that what's considered normal in our society is utterly dysfunctional. If we compare our society to what's healthy, we can see that our society is very dysfunctional. And this is because most of our society isn't healed right now, and especially the part of our society that has the most power and influence over our society is the least healed, And so we also realize that none of this is our fault, that we should have been protected, that how we are treated reflects others' feelings about themselves, not about us. We realize that I'm not what you think I am, that you actually are what you think I am. And through this process, we establish self-sovereignty. We're not looking outside ourselves for the answers anymore. And we begin to trust ourselves and, our decisions and our beliefs, rather than embodying the beliefs and decisions of others. And so through this process of emancipation, through self-empowerment and self-sovereignty, we reclaim our power, and the ability to stand in the face of injustice and tyranny and say hell no, right? Say hell no to the parasites, like Anthony Fauci, especially when they tell Americans, to ask their unvaccinated relatives not to come home for Christmas, right? It gives us the power to look at hypocrites like Fauci and understand that they're mentally ill. They're not powerful. And we learn, that those who abscond their power to scum like Fauci are actually mentally ill as well. And that's when we start to pity these people who want to be our oppressors rather than fear them. And when, we realize that evil is actually something that should be pitied rather than feared, we stop fearing evil, right? And we then reclaim power over it, right? And that's when we'll start to see good gaining more traction in reality. Now, justice is not levied equally on planet Earth right now, and that there really is a force, beyond our control that kind of is working against us. And so we have to not only reverse our trauma, but and sort of stand firm, in our values in the face of evil. We have to kind of proclaim that we now know that, this is done pre-free will, and, that it is actually our free will to sort of be set free from this grid, to no longer have this grid impeding our ability, to connect with what's going on in the fourth and fifth dimensions. Like we want access to that, right? So, knowing that it's happening and then being very clear, about our free will decision to have it released, okay? And then on top of that, kind of wish that for everyone else too, because that is kind of where trauma reversal takes us, right? And since this is all about trauma reversal, the reason we reverse trauma in ourselves is so that we can help reverse trauma in the next person, right? So that once we've achieved peace, we can help others achieve peace. So, I came across a mantra the other day, and it's all shift happily now. All shift happily now. And I kind of like that. So, if you are sort of confronted with these moments of, iniquity, wherein, every good deed you do, just does not go unpunished, think about all shift happily now. Make it known, that you're tired of having this human potential sabotaging grid, sort of messing with your good intentions. Remember how important it is to sort of love each other, because the more this thing sort of unfolds, the more I'm realizing anyway that we really only have each other, like real humans, okay? The spiritual beings having a human experience here on planet Earth right now, we really only have each other. So we have to remember to love each other, right? Because really, we are all we've got. So that's all I've got for now. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.